Just a delay. But it's good.
Okay, we are live.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Welcome to my Sunday Reflections. I'm Elsa Marie De Silva, founder and CEO of Red Dot Foundation. And as Sunday Reflections is a chance to catch up with one of my friends from my vast networks and check in with them as to how they are doing during the pandemic, what are they up to, what's keeping them motivated. And so today, this evening and afternoon in Nigeria, we have Habiba Ali. She is a force to reckon with in Nigeria. She is the founder of Sosai, Renewable Energies. Hi, Habiba, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Elsa. Nice to be on the show.
Thank you. I know you're very, very busy and you're constantly on the road, and I can see you're in the
Yeah.
car. So, can you
Yeah.
tell us exactly where exactly are you logging in from and how are you doing during the pandemic?
Okay, so I was actually supposed to leave Kaduna for Abuja early. I actually did leave early, but there were some delays on the road, and so ordinarily I should have been here. It's a 2-hour drive. I left at 8:30, thinking I should be here by 10:30 and settled in and all of that. But then there were delays because the vehicle had problems on the road. So we are actually just arriving Abuja. I should be getting off the car now, and I'll really I think I saw 10A, so probably here on the right. So yeah, I should be arriving soon, and I'll join focused on a table and everything. But yes, nice to be here. I work a lot in communities, so most times I'm always going into one village or the other, and that's why I seem to constantly be on the road. Um, but yeah, very great to be here to be joining this show.
Okay, we'll give you a minute to get into your office, and in the meantime, I'm
Okay.
going to just say a few words about Sunday reflections.
Yes,
So,
please.
yeah,
Hmm.
so
Like to help.
since April, I've been doing these reflections with various friends, as you know, and I've had lots of mainly women because I like showcasing the stories of women. And Habiba is one of my Vital Voices colleagues. Vital Voices, as you know, is a nonprofit that's based in the US that works with women leaders around the world around three main pillars: political participation of women, economic empowerment, and ending all forms of violence against women and girls. And Habiba works as well on two of these areas. One is ending violence against women and girls, and the other is economic empowerment through her nonprofit, which is Sosai Renewable Energies. And as she explained, she's on the road constantly because she works with the communities, and we are lucky to have her here because often when you're on the road, you don't have great internet as well. So,
Okay,
so
so finally I'm settled. I can
yeah,
do this now.
yeah, great to see you. So, Habiba,
Great to
tell
see you.
us a little bit about your work, please.
Okay, so I work with Sosai, an organization I founded that helps to provide reliable and efficient technologies in the renewable energy sector to communities, especially rural areas. 70% of our work is addressing rural communities. We prefer solar solutions, especially. We also prefer improved cook stoves. We've done water filters before, though we are not really doing the clean water part anymore. We're more focused on the provision of energy for rural communities. We deploy solutions like solar home kits, improved cook stoves, and currently we're going into doing the whole community-based thing by providing mini grids, microgrids, mini grids. But the beauty of what we do is that we do not just prefer mini grids and light up the community. We also tie in a productive use technology to that mini grid, such that we're not just giving you energy for you to have energy like every other person is having in their house, but to also see what economic activity can we prefer for the community so that as soon as they have energy, they can actually um, develop themselves as well. So we find one of the most important, say, agricultural practice, livelihood practice, and we power that with our mini grid so that you can have energy to see and energy to grow your lives and energy. We just want to touch on their livelihoods in a cyclical way, sort of.
That's great. And how did you come about doing this work, Habiba? What inspired you?
Okay, that's interesting. First, I was lucky to. I used to. My ex was working in the renewable energy sector, and he was an engineer that had something to do with renewables when he was in the university, and he was studying in France then. And one of the things he wanted to do was to, prefer solar solutions to Nigeria. And we tried our hands on it sometime, and then it just didn't work out the way we thought it would work out. And then we founded an NGO that was working in preferring the solutions and also trying to, ensure that people got what they needed at the time that they needed it. But we found that the technology was too expensive, and not preferable for people and all of that. So, and people couldn't actually pay for them. So what we then did was we started seeking support from international organizations to do the work. And with time, we I branched out. We started having too many issues. There was a lot of problems that went from home to the office and all of that. So I decided to branch out and start something else. But before then, I was lucky to have attended the Partnership for Clean Indoor Air. As much as we were trying to prefer solutions, we were trying to do it from a business mindset. We thought that we could actually sell these things and just, get money out of it. I mean, it was like a business for us. And this is where my why changed. I went for the Partnership for Clean Indoor Air Forum in Uganda. And while there, I found out that for every 2 hours that a woman faced either the open fire or the kerosene lantern, she was smoking an equivalent of 2 packs of cigarette. And I had grown up with a mother that had a roadside food stall, and we sold food cooked on the open fire by the right light of the kerosene lantern. And I just couldn't imagine that for every 2 hours we were facing, we did it like sometimes for 10 straight hours, we were actually smoking cigarette. And I could just imagine that if anybody met me and said, have you ever smoked? I was going to say no, but the same effects that the smoker had was what I also did have. And so and so that got me thinking. And my sister, before she died, had constant breathing and respiratory problems. So I wouldn't say that's what killed her, but that was also a concern that I immediately had, because I was thinking, what could have been the reason why she died? Could this have also complicated her issues? Because she had a constant headache, and that was how she died. I was thinking maybe, she couldn't breathe well. And so that really, really scared me, and made me think, what could I do? So in the hall, while the presentation was going on, I kept thinking, what could we do? Are we just going to sit down and, just let things happen like that? And I just kept thinking of the women. I mean, I had gone beyond being that daughter of the roadside food stall owner. I was now a mother of two children. I was now a wife. I came back home and I saw these women who still sold food on the open fire by the light of the kerosene lantern. And I bought some things from them. I bought bread from these women. I bought a special food we have here called akara bean cakes from these women. And I thought, these people are killing themselves every day, right? And I just thought, what could I do? And luckily, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I was just stepping out of the hall, and there was a company that sells solar lanterns there, just peddling their wares. And I was like, wow. So I immediately started the discussion, to telling her about how, did you just hear that this thing kills people? I mean, this could save lives, right? And she said, yeah, that she knows and everything. So I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So I bought 10 of the lamps, brought it back home. That same strip of road where I see these women, I replaced their lanterns with the solar lantern. And I was hoping that, okay, you just try it. Let's hear your feedback after a month or two. I mean, 3 months later, when we went back to we kept going, but we kept wanting to pick it up, but they really didn't want us to pick it up. But with time, we had to, we had to go back and say, okay, what do we do now? We want the lanterns back. And that was when the discussion of how do we also own this started. And with women, it became, okay, this one, we said, okay, can you pay? It was a $35 lamp. And these women, I mean, as much as they were selling food, they wouldn't be able to afford $35 easily like that. So one of the things that we did was enable them by it, by allowing them pay installmentally. And with time, they also had neighbors who wanted to buy it. And that was how they became like our sales force. And the idea of having a sales force of women also came from that. set in. And so whenever we go to communities, we work with women who are the ones who end up being the ones that peddle the products for us.
Habiba, how easy was it for you to start off, or how difficult? What were the challenges that you faced? And do you think women are open to new
It was
solutions to?
Well, I wouldn't say it was easy. And I always tell people that I started my business without a dime. And it seemed funny, but it seems funny and it sounds like it's not true, but that's really what happened. When I came back from Uganda with the 10 lamps and I tried it with the women, and they had said they wanted it, and women were asking, other people were asking for the lanterns. I really wanted to buy more lanterns. So I reached out to Barefoot Power, and I didn't have any money. Like, I really didn't have any money, literally. And so we started a discussion with them. And I don't know, the MD then, who is still my friend till today, even though he's no longer with Barefoot Power, had to tell me, okay, you know what, I'm just going to do this because I think you're genuine. We're going to send you lamps worth $3,000 and we'll see what you do with that. Yeah. And they put $3,000 worth of lamps on the ship and sent it to Nigeria. It got to the port. And this is me that had never done anything with customs or clearing or anything at all before. And it was when the lamps got to the port that I found out that I had to have done a Form M. I had to have done there were some processes that you had to go through when you're importing goods into Nigeria, and I didn't do any one of them. And, just because you don't have a Form M, your goods were liable to be confiscated by the government. So
Oh,
that was like, ooh, what do I do now? And this was goods that was on credit. So you can imagine my fear and everything. So we went back and forth, and I had to involve friends who I knew. I mean, who knew friends who were in the upper echelons of the customs and all of that. And then I had to rush up a Form M and everything. It was a bit more expensive, but we ended up getting the products into the country finally. And then I was able to sell and selling through these women. And Barefoot Power was so impressed because shortly after I returned their money and asked for more. And I was even able to, maybe if I was asking for a $5,000 worth of product, I actually paid about $8,000. And that really impressed them. So they were a field partner to Kiva. Kiva is a loan making organization based out of the US that gives you zero interest loans because they crowdfund the loans. So Kiva gave us $22,953, really. And the fun thing about Kiva was that we launched and we were funded within 18 hours. I mean, it was one of the fastest funding that they also had seen as at that time. It was just like everybody that saw the video was just clicking, and we got the 22,950, and we got a large amount, and it was a 1-year loan, so we could actually do the run over and over again. And at the same time, also there was another organization I'd met in Uganda who wanted to start a cook stove project in Nigeria. So they wanted to do due diligences, baseline studies, feasibility studies, and they had actually contracted me as a consultant to do that. So it was really good times. And I was doing all of this work, going into communities, doing the research and everything. And finally, they said, okay, now we need a partner to work with because we're going to deploy about 400,000 improved cook stoves in Nigeria across over 5 years. And they had these very interesting terms and everything. So I said, okay, let's help you look for partners, because the organization my husband and I had founded was doing the same cook stove project. And I didn't want to seem like I was in competition with that organization. So I was helping them look for partners and all of that. And then I actually spoke with my husband then. I said, do you want to take this on? I mean, so that it seems like, for every cook stove, you're housing it, and it's going to actually make it you become the big deal for cook stoves in Nigeria. And he said, no, he doesn't want to do it and everything. So jokingly, I just said, would you mind if I take it on and I'll start, under my Sosai? And he said, no, that he doesn't have a problem with that. And I was like, wow, thank you. So I just filed that away. And then I kept helping them to look for partners. And when for everybody we interviewed, they always came back to say, well, I wish we had someone like you. One day, one of the guys just went why can't you just do it? Just do it. And that's how we became the implementing partner. So the discussion started being the implement. We signed a service agreement. It was a very good project at that time. One of the best things that happened to Sosai. And just 2 years after Boko Haram hit, the insurgency happened. They had to cut down on their financing. They had to cut down on their buy because it was a carbon credit project. So the Swedish Energy Agency that was buying the credits then had to cut down on their buy. So our 400,000 stoves came down to 40,000. It was a lot of, shake up for the business and everything. And that was when I found Vital Voices. So yeah, I quickly applied for the group. And yeah, it was a big time for me because I had never learned to do a business. I had been running things just running things, and I was just lucky things were going well, but I was really not running it the way, with structures, with processes in place, nothing. But with Vital Voices and doing the grow, you know how the grow is. You had all those Harvard management mentor. You had you knew and learned to do delegating, timekeeping, and all of that, and the staffing and networking and everything. And I really took it seriously. I really didn't play with any part of it because most times I was like almost in tears, like I need to learn this thing. And so that's how I learned a lot more and started putting books in place, doing stuff that was necessary to make sure that the business was a standard business. And that's when I think, like every other standard business started having its own, hurdles, real hurdles. I mean, with that pull out for the carbon project, we started really facing things. And, but it was also a time that we also grew. So yeah, that's how it all started.
So that's great. And I was just explaining to people earlier about Vital Voices, but under Vital Voices, there are many different programs, and you got into the VV Grow program, and I'm from the VV Lead. And then subsequently, both of us won the awards in different years. So we are now part of the Global Leadership Academy, and we are now one of the 100 called VV100. So
yeah, it's
once
called
you
VV100.
yeah, you're just part of this whole network. So
exactly.
So I wanted to ask you, I have so many questions, but maybe I'll go step by step. So you started with cook stoves and renewable energy. Have you expanded your work, or you've stuck to the core of your work over the years?
I have actually stuck to the core of my work because, with the thing with energy, the SDG 7, is that it actually is at the nexus of all the other sustainable development goals. There's no way you can divorce energy from any one of them. And clean and alternative energy is the future. That's where we're all going. And I don't know. I mean, I've had the opportunity to dabble into other things, but for me, it just keeps coming back to this. And that's when I realized that is where my driving force actually finds is why I find the opportunity to leverage on my driving force, because just being able to empathize with people and understand their problems and make a difference in it is really very important for me. And that's why up till now, as much as the rural community projects do not fetch as much, in financing and all of that, it's like, according to my staff, sometimes they're like, we're just pouring water in the basket. It still feels very comfortable when you know that when you do something, just that little lamp, that little cook stove actually makes this huge difference. It's really very comforting. So what we're currently doing is that with a different thing that we've done is that we're now trying to do more urban related work. So we're doing more commercial and industrial projects. That's the CNI projects. That's where we can actually maybe power a whole school, power a whole hospital. And we are also trying to do the energy as a service kind of solutions, where we install solutions, because Nigeria is really very energy poor. Over 67% of the population of 190 million people do not have access to reliable energy. So what we're doing is we're seeing that, okay, I mean, Nigeria is a generator-rich market, and that's like a very expensive venture for anyone who is into who owns a business or whatever. So what we're thinking is, how do we actually take over your energy solution, and then you don't know what's happening on the back end. We put solar panels there, we work with the grid and all of that, and then we're proffering you energy. All you know is that you're having constant energy in your house, but we know what we're doing on the back end. So you're paying us monthly, and we pay the utility or buy the maintenance of our solutions behind the scene. So that's what we call energy as a service. We're also doing well, also through the support of the Dutch Good Growth Fund, luckily for me, it's actually grown to a lot of facets. We've actually worked with the Dutch Good Growth Fund through the Atradius Fund, and you have to. That just means you have to have a partner in the Netherlands that you buy products from. So we've been able to raise like regular financing for every round. We just go back again and pick up products, and so that allows people to be able to pay for solutions across a number of years. And we've done several rounds with them. We're hoping that the next round will be a bit bigger because we are still below the millions. So hopefully the next round is going to go above the millions, hopefully in euros. And then now what we've been very lucky with is the rural electrification program in Nigeria has been very rife because we've got this World Bank financing that came into Nigeria over 350 million dollars. So that is one other thing we are also leveraging on to ensure that we prefer solutions to communities using what they call the interconnected mini grid acceleration scheme. So we're connecting with discos to prefer solutions to communities. And then, after everything, we like manage the discos are the distribution companies. We now manage how we collect our finances. And hopefully that will help Sosai to have a breather. And then we can do more work in the communities as we like.
Do you manufacture the cook stoves as well, or you import them from somewhere?
In the beginning of our projects, we mainly imported. We had a company called EcoZoom that was is US based, but they were manufacturing out of China, and we did about 15,000 cook stoves with them. But with time, when the project now seemed like it was going to be shaky, our partners also realized the financing they were getting was not as good as they were expecting. So they had to change stoves. And then we got to another stove that was also imported. It was called Easy Stoves. But after some time, we realized that even those ones were having issues with the cost and everything. So we started training youth in communities to be artisans who built these locally made stoves, and they were installed in the homes, and the people paid very little for it. And yeah, so that one is the one we now did in country. We're currently the winners of the Nigerian Clean Cooking Acceleration Scheme, and that is to help us develop solutions that will be for agricultural value chains like rice for boilers, restaurants, palm oil makers. There's a lot of value chains we can actually work with. And so we're covering the whole of Nigeria with that project. It's a GIZ funded project. And hopefully with that, what they are helping with is actually the technical expertise, but we need to raise financing to do the real work. So hopefully that is also going to encourage our manufacturing the products within the country. But so far, there's also we are not technology agnostic because we try to work with our consumers to ensure that we are giving them products that they really want. So we call them tailor-made solutions. So what we're doing is we're also getting products not just from internationally. We're also getting products within the country. So we have we have like two manufacturers within the country that actually produce stoves that we also buy from, besides the one that we build ourselves as well. So it's like a huge basket of stoves. But the good thing about that is that our customers are very, very free to pick.
Have you seen, so obviously the driving force was a health concern, and you wanted to address that because of your personal experience where your
Yeah.
sister had that respiratory, illness. And therefore, you saw a need and you tried to fill it. But have you seen unintended consequences of your work apart from that? Like when women have better access to clean cook stoves and stuff like that, how else do their homes and their lives improve?
A lot, especially one of the things that you see when you get into the rural communities, especially in northern Nigeria, is it's still a very traditional society where in the rural areas you have a lot of women still in purdah. And purdah is a religious practice where women are not to be seen, are not to be heard. They don't come out during the day; they come out at night or one of those things. And these women cook in spaces that are like airless, and so the walls are black, the house is looking very dirty, they smell, it's really, really like you could just see their lives are like in despair, sort of. And it's always so interesting when you put a cook stove in there and you're like advising the woman, okay, you can clean the kitchen now, you won't get as much soot on your walls and all. And she actually does believe you and does that cleanup. And you come back like months later and she's looking like really nice, and she's also showing off with her new clean kitchen. So that's another thing that I've seen. And I've also seen, with the women being the economic, one of the things that we do is also we're trying to help the agricultural value chain by preferring solar dryers. And we work with women. We form women into clusters of 5, 6 women, and they are like a cooperative. They work under what we call the Mata Ariwan Sosai initiative, which is like the women of the North for excellence. And the women are the ones who house the solar dryers. So they dry produce for farmers and all of that, and then they can also sell some of this produce that they dry. And you can imagine, as soon as they start that work, their children were going to maybe not going to school before. They are able to pay for children to go to school. They no longer are those ones sitting down at home and waiting for the husband to bring the money. They actually take initiatives. They pay bills. They cook by themselves. They cook what they like. You can actually just immediately start to see, like, the difference in their lives. And it's really very, very important for me. And maybe that's the reason why I'm not willing to leave that part of my work, because I could just see the power that just comes to them simply because they now have their own money. And now because they know the difference between when they didn't have it and when they now have it, and the decisions they can make. And they become like vocal, they become louder. Unfortunately, some of them end up leaving their husbands because they now realize their rights and all of that. But yeah, the ones that stay are actually, you can see that they're like the drivers in the society. They are the ones making decisions. And one of the things that excites me is when we talk, when we have conversations, some of them are telling you, oh, we want to fix the school. No, we want to fix the health center. There's no light in the health center. We're thinking, well, because the idea is that when they share the money at the end of the month, they actually keep some for themselves, for the group. And some of the things they think of doing is, oh, we want to fix the health center. We want to have a community place where the kids can play. And that is really, really very exciting.
Yeah, very inspiring. So coming back to you
Mhm.
and Vital Voices, what did you think of this network of women? You know, and how did it support you? Apart from giving you the knowledge to run your business and put processes within.
When we started Grow was about, there was networking, there was communications, there was marketing, and there was, I think, leadership, something. I can't remember. Those were the 4 pillars that were like focused on. And there was that discovery of self. And I think of all of the things that really made the biggest impact for me was that discovery of self, the self leadership thing. I remember then at the time I did Grow, the person I was interfacing with was one Vanessa. And I will never forget her name, but she's no longer with Vivi now. And when she was there, when I'd sent in my driving force the first time, I wrote my driving force is to ensure that people have enough energy in the whole of the rural communities in northern Nigeria. And she said we needed to have a call, and we had a call. And by the time she described to me what a driving force should be, and by the time I could actually talk with her and bring out the core of me and actually, remove that scale and dig deep, we both ended that call crying. It was really very emotional, but it was able to help me find myself. And that just made me know this is different. This is not just one of those women empowerment things. It's really different. And I paid attention. And I'm so happy that finding your driving force is actually one of the first things that they teach you in Vital Voices, because that really helped me to find my core. But, one of the other places that Vital Voices really touched me, I did the Gap. In 2018, I was at Gap, New York. And my mentor was from Pearson International. She was a vice president at Pearson in the UK. And I remember that one of the major things I took to that place that I said I needed help with was cash flow, and how to just, understand it and ensure that there was constant cash flow for the business not to go down. And she was so into helping me. Most times when the ladies were done with class and everybody was going maybe out to town to have a drink or something, she was willing to sit down with me and make sure I get it. right? And most times they will go out to town and come back and still find us in the lobby. You're like still working. And I think one of the things that made her really want to help was I showed her that I really wanted it. I'm not just doing this because I wanted to travel to New York. I'm doing this because I need to make things different. I want to keep running this business because I want to have a lot of women to help, right? So I can't allow this business to go down. And she saw that and she could read that. And we really connected at a very deep level. And it was that's all of the things that Vital Voices did for me. And then I now applied for the We Empower UNSDG challenge and I won for Africa. I'm like, oh God, this is like a master's of, of all of the courses that I'd done with Vital Voices. And it was a whole week again in New York in September in 2018, going around, attending these high level meetings, meeting the president, Council for World Women Leaders, just having that opportunity makes you really understand that there's nothing you cannot gain. And as me, I mean, I'm turning the tables, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the women that I help in the community, coming out and saying, I now have a voice, I have the power to make things happen. Being able to attend such meetings and being able and having the camera crew running around you, running alongside you all over New York, made me feel I can do it. Right. And I just felt that strength. And then what topped it up for me was it was at New York that I got the email that I was winning the Gila. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So
I am so happy for you that you're part of Vital Voices and that we got to meet in person. So how is it going with you and the rest of your team in Nigeria during COVID-19? Is it are the number of cases increasing? Is it not yet a problem over there? Tell us a little bit about what's the reality there.
well, it was a problem in March, and as soon as the world was shutting down, Nigeria shut down alongside. We also went through the whole lockdown, and cases started spiking on a daily basis. But I remember that one thing just took a hold of me. And she at the point they said they were losing 1,000 lives a day, losing not just people contacting the virus, but they were losing 1,000 lives a day, and that was scary. And I really remember that I was so scared because in Nigeria, people were not taking it as seriously. Even though we were on lockdown, people were going out anywhere. People were still, I live close to the a part of town where we call the Express Road. And every day when I'm going out on a walk, I see people in trucks, like hundreds of people in trucks. And I'm like, oh my God, if this thing hits Nigeria the way it's hitting the new UK, we'll find corpses on the road and we can't help anyone. But I don't know what happened. Even though the numbers were rising, constantly got to a point where in a day we got up to I think 600 cases. And I remember that one thing, it just occurred to me one day sometime in June that if this was really going to hit Nigeria, it should have hit us harder because we were not having as many deaths. Let's even assume, because one of the things that I know we didn't really have a lot of was the testing. We didn't have a lot of testing going on in Nigeria. Of course, it was not easy to have all of the tests happening. But one thing that I noticed was if we were not testing and people were not at that, I mean, there were not cases of deaths being reported regularly, then that meant that either the virus, I don't know, maybe there was something in our blood that was making us heal faster. I think totally up until now, I need to confirm this, but I don't think we have up to 3,000 deaths yet. I mean, like confirmed COVID deaths, and I'm sure we're still below 100,000 in the tested cases. So it wasn't as bad. And it's actually, I feel that even if people, because at the point I noticed that a lot of people were getting sick, everybody in my house fell sick. We had the cold, the cough, and all of that, but we healed. And I saw that a lot of that happened in a lot of families. So probably we didn't just test deep enough to find that that was the virus, but we healed. That's simply what I would say. We're doing something. I mean, I don't know, maybe God was on our side.
Yeah, I'm glad that that happened. And even in India, we have a high rate of infection, but not very high rate of deaths, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
I mean, it's a good thing.
exactly.
But I don't even know whether we are doing enough of testing either. So, anyway, but it's something that we have to learn to deal with, and people are more worried about dying of starvation and lack of food.
Exactly.
than
Yeah, like
others.
now, we opened Nigeria opened most of Nigeria opened up by the end of July. Everybody was back to work, and things have started happening. If you don't even have anything to do with a lot of international organizations, you really didn't have to remain shut down for a very long time. And now with everything going online, people doing a lot more of meetings online and not bothering to travel down, that also helped a lot. Like with the NICAs, we were supposed to have evaluators from Congo or something. She lives in Congo actually, but now she's had to cancel and do a lot of the work online. We've been having several meetings online with her. So, those are the kind of changes that you've seen. Yeah, also, of course, business was heavily affected. I mean, we lost at least 50% of our revenue compared to, as at this time last year, I know how much we had done compared to this year. It is what it is. Yeah, you just have to keep going. And yeah, I realized a lot of things were going to happen in the beginning. So I immediately, as soon as it started happening, we cut down on salaries. We went halfway since then. And if you wanted to stay, you stayed on. I mean, most people were working from home. It wasn't as much work. So I also argued that, men, guys, you don't have to pay transport to come to work. You don't have to leave your house. So please, let's just stay at 50% for now. We're still at 50%, which is annoying because I was hoping that by the end of August, we should have reverted back. But the sales are not trickling in as much as we wanted to. So things are still a bit unstable. We're still struggling to see that most of our projects that we have gotten started are taking off the way we wanted. It changed a lot of things. Shipments that we expected in May came in October. So yeah, it's just crazy, but it's a season that I think it is what it is. I mean, we just have to go through it, and we'll come out on the other side hopefully victorious.
I hope so. So we have a
Yeah.
question from Venkatesh in our audience. He asks whether you engage with students and do you work with youth, especially
What?
for research in renewable energy.
Yeah, we work a lot with youth. Like I said in the beginning, we have the youth that we train in the communities to be the artisans who are also the ones who install the solar solutions for us in the communities and are the first go-to people for troubleshooting. Another part of where we work is there's a technical college in the town where we're situated, Kaduna. And what I learned from a fellow business and another business training I did in the Enterprise Development Center, one thing I learned from one of them was you could work with them during their internship periods, and at that internship period, you could actually get them to work with you, and they get trained and all of that. And so one thing I found is that the students really really like it because ordinarily they would have gone to maybe a carpentry workshop, an electrical workshop, or one of those things. And so that had to change because sorry, I had to change locations because there's a bit of
No.
yeah, there's a bit of background. So that helped a lot because the students realized that they could actually get bigger jobs when they trained with us. And so we constantly have them even coming back because why I really needed a lot of hands on the installation part was imagine installing like 200 units of solar home kits in a day. It takes just how many people to do it? I mean, there's just this much 5 people that I employed would do. So I needed those extra hands. And then when they do the installations, they get some sort of remuneration for doing that. So that was very exciting for them. And a lot of them actually do not want to leave. We still have a long list of them, and we're constantly training and retraining and teaching them about how to do this work. So yeah.
I know you're very busy and it's lunchtime over there, so I'm not going to take up much of your time. But my last question to you, Habiba, is what is your advice to your 16-year-old self?
Sorry?
What, what is your advice to your 16-year-old self?
Ah, you should have been more assertive. You should have been stronger. You should have had a voice. I mean, I was one of those very timid ones in secondary school, and with the noise you hear from the background is we're having a reunion of some sort of my mates from high school, and so everybody's just trickling in, and that's the excitement of seeing each other. And I remember that in secondary school, I was one of those ones that would be shouted down, was bullied constantly. And I never really realized that I could do a lot of things by myself. So I have a feeling that if I had realized who I was and the powers that I had early enough, I could have done a lot more. I'm not regretting where I am at. I'm even happy that I could even get here. But one thing that I do with my 14-year-old daughter is always ensure, hey, what's your power? What can you do, right? And now, and I realize she likes writing. She loves poetry. We've been able to harness that strength, and she now has a YouTube page where she does her poetry. She was doing a weekly poetry spoken word, and she really likes it, and she's excelling in it. She's feeling very good doing it. The more she did it, the more she was excited in doing it, and the more she was exploring better ways to do it. And that really makes me feel like I like where we have started from and where she's taking it to. So if I was 16, I'll tell myself, assert yourself more, realize your powers early, and keep doing it faster.
Thank you. And so we should invite her to participate in our Be a Super Shiro campaign that we are running from the International Day of the Girl Child, which was last Sunday, right up till the end of the month. I'll send you the details, and everyone,
Okay, that'll be nice.
they can do that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that'll be
thank
nice.
you so much for sharing your experiences with us. I wish you a pleasant the rest of the Sunday and enjoy
Thank you
with
so
your.
much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Elsa. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You